Hey, hey! Okay, this is completely out of my comfort zone, but I decided to go live on my Facebook page, not in my group for this because I have a lot of new friends who have asked me to share my story about Gavin and autism. I wrote notes, so I apologize if I'm not looking at the screen. I want to make sure I stay on track because Floyd told me if I was going to do this, I had to keep it under 5 minutes. So what I want to talk about today is what led us to a holistic organic lifestyle. I'm so passionate, and I know you guys see my posts all the time about organic stuff or natural this and vaccinations, and I don't post this stuff because I want to debate. It's my personal belief, but it's also my belief that if you don't know, you can't make the changes. And if you're not properly educated, you can't know what to do. And unfortunately, in today's world, we aren't told everything. We have to do that research ourselves. So I wanted to just share my story and what kind of led us here and what led us down the path to get to where we are. Okay, so all of you, I'm sure, know by now, we have a 17-year-old typical child who is amazing and thriving and overachieving. I don't know where she gets that from, but it ain't from me. And 7 years after her, we had a 6-pound, 13-ounce baby boy. He was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes. There was nothing that would lead us to believe there was anything to be concerned about. When Gavin was about 18 months old, we noticed delays. It wasn't until he was 2 years old that the pediatrician recommended to have an evaluation done. This was when early intervention came into the house and Gavin qualified for speech and OT. So we had that once a week speech and once a week OT, an hour inside the house. About 6 months later, we noticed this was just not going to be enough. So we went and did some private therapy also. So now he was at Good Shepherd receiving speech twice a week and OT once a week. That's 5 hours a week. This quickly proved to still not be enough. It was about when he was 2.5 that the therapist suggested another evaluation. Now, mind you, every time you have any type of services, you have an evaluation. It's long, it stinks, it's so much paperwork. She gave us some places to call, and it wasn't until I made that first call that I realized these places specialized in autism. I was completely floored. I remember, gonna try not to cry. I remember hanging up the phone and hitting the floor and just cried. And I cried for about 3 days. And then I picked up all the pieces of my heart, which was in a puddle on the floor. And I thought, I gotta do everything I can for this kid, because he deserves more. I'm so sorry. I promised myself I wouldn't do this. It was then that I got on waiting lists. And I was on waiting lists everywhere for his evaluation for autism. And they were at least a year out. So the first place we could get into was a private pay. So Floyd and I paid privately to have Gavin's first evaluation done by a psychologist who was an amazing man. And he was the first one that told us those 4 words: your son has autism. As most special needs moms do, we never believed the first time. So I finally got him into a developmental ped because of a cancellation. So it was only about 9 months later instead of a year and a half, where we heard the diagnosis for the second time. Your son has autism. Again. I'm a special needs mom, and I want to know everything. It was then that we took him to have an autism diagnostic test done. So for a third time, I heard, your son has autism. At this point, early intervention had ended because Gavin was turning 3. So we kept up with the therapies at Good Shepherd. We also got him evaluated by the IU for behavioral services. These services were 15 hours a week in home, 7.5 hours a week at school. He did preschool for 7.5 hours a week, so it was full-time there. He had private therapies at Good Shepherd, 3 hours a week, and therapy at school for 2 hours a week. If you add that up, that's over 20 hours a week that he had one-on-one therapy. Whew, it doesn't get easier. What I found that we needed more. We needed to figure out what was causing all of this and all of his outbursts. That's when I started to research. But you see, we had 20 hours a week of therapy. So I researched in the shower. I researched through tears. I researched at therapies. And what I found was we had to just make a lifestyle change. We had to change diets. We had to change the products we were using in our home. And so one of the first things we did was we just started eliminating chemicals. Guys, I know this isn't easy. It's hard. It's like super hard. So we did one thing at a time, and I started making laundry soap. I was like, okay, what can I change? What can I do? So I started making laundry soap, and I started making household cleaners and just that kind of stuff. I took away all the candles and all of the like plug-ins, all the air fresheners, anything that was synthetic fragrance or perfume or parfum. You see, I was all about my house smelling good, like really smelling good, to the point where my husband would walk in and he's like, you are killing me. My nose is burning. And I'm like, stop being a baby, you're totally fine. What I realized was not only was he absolutely true, but I was harming us all. So slowly I started taking everything out of the house, and I just started either making products to save money or bought organic if we could afford that. And all of you know I'm big into Young Living, but this isn't something that I've done to make money. That kind of came by accident. This was something that came to me because we needed something different. We needed products to put on and in my children that weren't killing them, that weren't harming their lungs and their body and their organs every day. So when I post these things on my Facebook, I want you to know it's not because I'm judging you, because I did it all, and I did it all for a really long time. I post them because I wasn't educated and nobody shared that information with me, and I wish somebody had. I wish somebody had shared that with me 18 years ago when I was pregnant with our daughter and said, hey, there is another way. So I want you to know that when you see a post or if I offer you an oil, it's from my heart because I want more for you and your family. So those are you who are on. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't know if I kept this to 5 minutes or not because that's what Floyd said I was allowed to do. I am so sorry I cried through it. See, they say when you can tell your story without tears, you've healed. So obviously I'm still working on that. Thank you all. Love you all. Have a great day.